Hey, yo. Let me talk to you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show.
It's time for the Other Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts, Tim, Dave, and Jeremy.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to another edition of the Other Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is Tim. I go by NWA Gold, and I am flanked by these two gentlemen here getting ready for the holiday season. Mr. Dave Scooby, how are you, my friend?
Doing well.
Good. And on my other side here, I can look this way. I got to figure out how to do this. Hey, guys, what's going on? It's Wrestling with the MMA. Jeremy, how are you, sir?
Doing well, and I'd like to add on to Willie's Tyrus joke of the day that after the restaurants closed, the sewer system would close.
Okay, Willie doesn't need any help. He'll do the jokes around here, okay? Willie, always on your game. Tyrus is the victim of your relentless assault at all times. But Willie's in the chat. Media M5's here. We get him with that opener every single time, I think. And who else is here? There was people here. I don't know. We'll catch up to that in the near future. If you're in the chat, speak up. Let's say hello, and we'd like to say hello to you. What are we talking about today, guys? We got this new 6:05 start time, like we're some kind of marketing, something to be marketed now. Honestly, I just figured it would help people remember to tune in at 6:05, right?
Yep.
What's 5 minutes? Jeremy, how are those sausages coming, Charlie?
2 seconds, Tagish.
That's right. Hey, there's Dodie. It's Dodie Cusamonte.
Hey,
how are you, sir? You know what? Honestly, Dodie, I'm thinking about it. We live in a pandemic, and I've had COVID, and it sucks. But I kind of want to go, so I'm thinking about it right now, and I gotta convince my wife to do the same. How about you guys? What do you think?
I would have to get my passport and stuff, I believe.
Yeah.
I've never had one of those before.
And it's also a Smashing Pumpkins festival. It's like, how much wrestling will there be? I guess is part of it as well. I like the Pumpkins, but I've never seen them live.
Yeah.
James Bell's here. Remember when TBS started all their shows at 5 after the hour? Well, that's the marketing idea here.
Gave you time to scroll through the channels and find out there was nothing else on but TBS.
That's right. Yeah. And Jay's here. Hey, yo. Time for a little survey. Anybody here to see the Other Alliance Guys? I am terrible today. Look, what are we talking about today? We're talking about NWA USA on our usual deep dive. We are changing what we do around Power because we just go too long. And Jay and Jaden and DK do that stuff tomorrow on the OG Alliance Guys. So we're going to do highlights. Just very quickly, highlights, and Dave and Jeremy will tell us the two of their favorite highlights together from that show after I run through the matches. We'll see how that goes. Jeremy's got the UWN results, and Dave's got some fantasy booking today on how you book the world's heavyweight champion, Tyrus. Jay's a big Ella Envy fan. Yes, we know this. She's your bestie now. What does Dodie say here? Mexico show in March, Power live in January, and Joe Gelly mentions there'll be a pay-per-view in February. Busy months for the NWA.
Yeah.
Media says my favorite highlight was when was when USA ended. Yeah, well, we'll get into that. I mean, it wasn't the worst one we've ever seen. But hey, that's, you know what? Let's just go into it now.
Yeah.
see how we go. Here we go. Season 5, episode 2. Started off with, I should pull over this one over here because this is where I keep all my notes. JTG and Pope. Dave Scooby has come up with a great name. What is the name of that tag team?
The God Squad.
The God
Love
Squad.
that name.
It's perfect. GAWD, right?
Yep. It's like Jay the God, JTG, and the Pope. Okay. I don't know. I hope nobody's religious and takes it as a bad omen or anything, but
Yeah, that's a great name.
Yeah.
They're taking on the Miserably Faithful in the form of Gags the Gimp and Judas, who have Father James Mitchell and Sal the Pal.
Yeah.
There is some brief, if I remember correctly, some brief mention about, Sal doesn't have his manager's license, and can we just stop with that right off the bat? I mean, it's not something that we need to continue. If they're not going to follow it, just let it go. So what do I got here? JTG and Pope, they neither one of them wants to face Gags to start, who's, he keeps opening the zipper and sticking the tongue out. Pope keeps closing it. There's sort of a Warner Brothers spot, or, duck season, rabbit season, duck season, rabbit season, rabbit season, no
Exactly.
season, right? And where he ends up closing it, trying to stick it out, and then losing his mind. It's dumb.
Yeah.
So they keep tagging each other out, and the faithful take control over Jay with Judas's power and some outside cheap shots from Sal. JTG, who I don't get to see wrestle enough. He's some really nice moves.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, he's got that really nice sling blade bulldog in this match, and his neck breaker is fantastic.
That's the first thing I wrote down.
Yeah,
That was pretty.
yeah, and Pope beats on Gags with after a hot tag. There's an eye poke, which is kind of fun and different from the obvious face team here. Sal interferes, and Pope hits a DDT and Bulldog combination with he and Gags together. So one in front, one in the back. They avoid a double choke slam. The God Squad does from Judas. They dump him out, and Pope ends this thing with his knee finisher. I don't remember what it's called on Gags for the win. Jeremy, what did you think of? Nice shirt. Live. Great.
Let me talk to you.
Yeah, let me talk to you. What did you think of this this contest to open USA this week?
I was surprised by it, with the no cold open that we got the title, that we got the music and intro screen right away. I wrote down that the Sling Blade Bulldog was pretty. We've seen the horns flop and bend. Why did one hurt Pope's elbow? There wasn't a lot of actual wrestling in this match from the Miserably Faithful. Sal attacking Gags afterwards was odd, but has been telegraphed, and Gags is on his way out, I feel.
You think it's just about done?
I think so for him. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Dave, what about you?
I wrote down good double team on Judas when they both hit his forearms, knock him down. For a team that's just being put together, you have two veterans that know what they're doing and play well off of each other.
Very well.
And they were pushing that Gags hadn't been pinned. This was his first pinfall, and it did show dissension within the Miserably Faithful. I'm hoping Gags is on his way out and into another gimmick, or at least not the Gags gimmick. Maybe he can be Happy Gimp. Who knows?
Well, maybe we did without trying to, because I know we kind of try to keep.
Maybe he could be an astronaut.
I was just gonna say. I was just gonna say maybe we saw him recently, but you've kind of beaten me to it. Hey, Pollo's here. What's up, dirty no gooders? That's us. We are no goodnik gutter punks, and proud of it. That's just
Very
how we
proud.
were raised. Glad to have you here. Look, Jay says my nickname should have been NWJ. Lost opportunity. Yes, 15 years. You had an opportunity, Jay, to be NWJ.
Oh wow!
There's the last one. Willie Bowen loves Genocide, Kenzie Page, Allison Kay, and Camille, and also Ty Valkyrie. So big fan of the ladies. Media agrees with you guys. Please, no more Gimp. Maybe he can be Sal's pal, a guy who just aimlessly follows Sal around and takes a beating. Yeah, hey, an astronaut. That's out of this world. But yeah, man, I agree with you two guys. Like I haven't been live in the Lightning One era to an NWA event just because of where I geographically live. But it's harder for me to judge if somebody's over just by TV and the way sound works. And I mean, I get the sense sometimes early on that Gags was really over. Now it's difficult to feel with the way the tapings, I think, are done too. Dave, you want to say something?
Yeah. Well, it's one of these things of Gags is over to a point, jokingly. The wrestler is a good wrestler. The gimmick is not a good gimmick.
Right.
The gimmick is basically it was done as a joke and it went over because there's people that cheered it.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, it's if you know the story behind why he's a gimp, there really is no story. I mean,
Yeah.
the people around me were asking, well, where's this come from? And I mean, all I could really think of was Big Lebowski. I've never really dealt with movies that have gimps in them. I know,
Pulp Fiction, yeah.
Pulp Fiction.
but it's like you do. Yeah, it is Pulp Fiction, and I'm just like, well, it's sort of an inside joke that got over unintentionally, so they just went with it. It's almost the same thing that happened with Question Mark. It was done as a rib because the question mark, whoever the question mark was, that gentleman had been suspended and could not wrestle.
Right.
So it has to come to an end one of these days, because the wrestlers that are under masks, there's too many masks in the NWA right now. There's 5.
Yep.
And there only needs to be 2, maybe 3, and that's it.
Yep. It says it was question mark. You know, if they wanted to get out of that story, it's a no-brainer on how to do it. There was a group who might have interest in, taking that mask off. You know what I mean? So from his origins, if you wanted to go that way, it wouldn't be difficult. It might even be a fun little payoff.
Yeah.
And anyway, but hey, it is what it is. We don't control the show, and we just move on with it. And it's good to see JTG and Pope tagging, though, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Really.
Yeah, man, so much fun, those two. We then get Ella Envy versus Natalia Markova with special referee Kenzie Page. And I know you guys will talk to this, but this made no sense to me as a setup. Like, there's no reason for them to face each other with Ella's tag team partner as the referee. There was no setup. There was no punishment.
No reason. Yeah.
Right. So it felt like there was a loss of continuity somehow, or I guess maybe we'll see. as the season progresses, but it just, I don't know. I just looked at it right off the bat. I was kind of shaking my head and kind of,
Yeah.
but so Kenzie in this match is all Ella in her calls. She's helping out Ella wherever possible. Ella's absolutely hilarious in the way she sells, as always. She's very loud and boisterous, and she's hard not to love for me. Ella uses hairspray, I guess it is, in the eyes. There's a fast count that Markova kicks out of. The crowd is counting rope breaks when Kenzie isn't counting rope breaks. Kenzie pushes Ella into Natalya, pulls her on for a cover, helps her to her feet. She's really trying to help Ella out here. But this ends when I think it's the beautiful destruction, Natalya calls it. And Ella's just out on her back. Kenzie's counting a slow 3 count, and she's holding her hand up for the 3, and Natalya just bangs it down to the mat rather. Again, it was confusing for me for what it was. It wasn't too bad, but I just didn't get the setup. Jeremy, Jay says they didn't explain it live either. What did you think of the match, Jeremy?
The match was okay. It helped further establish that Markova is tough. That's what they're building her up as. I feel that she can. It takes a lot of punishment to take her out, and that not everything is all sunshine and lollipops over in the Pretty Empowered camp. It didn't, like you said, it didn't make sense. There was no lead up to it or anything beforehand that would have made them interact in a match. They didn't bump each other in the hallway or knock their books out of their hand or anything. So I don't know. Yeah.
You were there live, Dave, and I guess Jay was saying what you would say. They didn't explain it live there either. Yeah. What did you think?
It wasn't a bad match. I mean, it highlighted one of your champions, and she can always use the excuse of, I'm a tag wrestler. I'm used to having a tag partner. That's why I lost.
Yeah.
I didn't have anybody to have my back. I wrote down Markova wins by pinfall, but the victory's for nothing if she doesn't end up with a tag partner and go after the belts. Because she's a singles wrestler. She had Taryn Terrell, quote unquote, managing wrestling with her, but Taryn is no longer there. So this story doesn't make sense if Markova doesn't get a tag partner and go after the belts.
Right.
And I mean, my idea would be, hey, Angelina Love is there. She could help with Pretty Empowered, leading them in the ring. You have Love Crush as a tag team. They go for a couple times for the belts. It builds up the women's tag champions. And then they end up, there's a miscommunication. They can't get the win. You build up Pretty Empowered, and they've won over a couple wrestlers that aren't particularly seeing eye to eye, but they're wrestling on I guess on an even enough scale that I help you, you help me, we can become champions.
Right.
That they don't have to be bestie friends. They just need to work together well in the ring to defeat the champions. And I mean, if anything, it builds up everybody involved. But if they don't get a tag partner for Markova, this was done for nothing.
Right. And as Poyo points out, things are a lot more fun when you know what they're happening, I'm hearing. So we do know that the NWA listens. People like Poyo listen. Really fun podcast with Pope and Poyo.
Very.
Pope's point of view, I just heard my second one yesterday. So I'm a newcomer. I know Jeremy's listened for a while. Really good. Hey, and Pollo, Dave came up with a name. If you weren't here, I don't think you were here when we talked about it, for Pope and JTG. Tell him again, Dave.
The God Squad, GAWD.
Yeah, pass that one on. That's I think it's perfect.
Tech wrestling. Yes, it's a religious experience.
Hey, oh, very nice.
There you go.
Yeah. Media says again, this is another match that have to do due to people who were there that night. Nothing for them to do angle-wise. No lead up. Only thing that saved the match was Ella losing. Blame can be put on Kenzie. Yeah, I mean we're trying to book it after the match. I guess we're gonna have to see what happens, and what happens. Well, that was insightful. Anyway. It was what it was. We get May Valentine with Blunt Force Trauma, Carnage and Damage, and they take their first opportunity. Pollo's talking to Pope in an hour. Very good. They take their first opportunity, I believe, on camera to basically go, "Roar, we're here to destroy," and that's basically all that there is to this little segment. Jeremy, did you get anything out of this other than that there's just a couple of badasses ready to do some damage and carnage?
Oof.
No.
Oh, this was I expected Aaron to be there. This was difficult for me to sit through. This was rough. Maybe that's why they didn't have Aaron there and they were in front of the camera to force him to, step up a little bit. This is an area where you're not so great at, so let's be in front of the camera more.
Maybe,
I don't know.
You're right. Hawk and Animal could talk without Precious Paul, but I always liked it when Paul was there.
Yeah.
What did you think, Dave?
Well, I mean, it's almost like I'm in on the joke, but I'm not in on the joke. That both of these guys, if you know who they are, they can talk and talk and talk and talk, and it all makes sense. But they're not who they are. They're playing new characters. So it may be one of these things of, we do our talking in the ring. We let our fists do the talking, blah, blah, blah. That I'm just looking at it. It's one of these things of, it goes back to Doom. This is Doom 2. Blunt Force Trauma. They're just, you know who they are. And if you don't, we'll send you private messages. But I'm not going to ruin it for anybody.
Right.
But they're just, it's the fun of suspended realization of going, I know, but I don't know.
Yeah. Pointo points out Jay loved the Blunt Force Trauma. Yeah, no problem with Blunt Force Trauma.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, it was like a 20-second or 30-second promo. Oh, that's what it was, right?
I expected Ogre to jump out from Revenge of the Nerds and just nerds. And then all three of them take off.
I just realized from when you said that Wrecking Ball Legursky is basically Ogre from Nerds. If Ogre was a good guy, well, I guess like he is.
Oh my God!
It's true, isn't it?
It is.
Doom had different gear compared to Simmons and Reed as singles. James is a big fan of Blunt Force Trauma. I think we'll touch on them in Power that comes up. I think it's great that there's a team that just comes in and wrecks things.
Yeah.
And I love both of those guys without their masks on as well. So, but are they doomed?
I don't think so.
No.
I like them. I like them as a team. That segment was a little tough to sit through. But like Dave said, they're not them. These are personas that they are portraying, so they're finding their way with them. And I'm along for the ride. Let's do this.
Yeah, let's have some fun with it. We then get May Valentine again with Baby Doll and her daughter Samantha Starr. Baby Doll tells us she's like to be called the first lady of the NWA. Which, now that I think about it, isn't that what we used to call Missy Hyatt? Maybe she was the first lady of wrestling. I don't know. But first lady of the NWA because she is a legend and she deserves the respect. Samantha Starr tells us that she has large shoes to fill, and she's ready for it, Dave. Samantha Starr making her re-debut almost on the show today. What'd you get out of this?
They are definitely pushing second and third generation stars, and it could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. I mean, she's solid enough in the ring that she could do the underdog, that she gets built up slowly. My other idea would be possibly bring in Miranda Gordy and have a second generation female tag team. It builds them up. They don't have to do all the work. They split it. Each of them do their part. They don't have to win. They just need to make everyone look good. And they can slowly be built up, whether they're singles or as a tag team.
Yeah. It would be great to. I don't know how many other second generation stars there are beyond Miranda, but she's very much, like Samantha Starr for me, and kind of at that same level of. She's probably got more experience, but at that same competition level, I feel like right now, so that'd be a good team. Coyle agrees. She'd love to see Samantha Starr paired with Miranda Gordy. The Home Wreckers. Look at us just naming teams tonight.
I like that.
Jay's trading the puns, but can the Fixers fix what they wreck?
Wow.
The Willie says the Fixers will sink the cruise ship Titanic against, like the cruise ship Titanic against blunt force trauma. And James agrees. He done up and stole my idea. Willie points out Lacey Von Erich. What happened to Lacey Von Erich? Didn't she have like a little YouTube thing and she kind of went a bit wild on, and that was the last I saw of her. She'd walk around at conventions and anyway.
What happened to her?
Yeah. Dodie says bring back Miranda Gordy and Haley J and put Samantha with them. We want Free Babes returns. Jay's got the same idea, the Free Babes. So I guess there's lots of great ideas there. Certainly some fans of Samantha from this. Media says Lacey was in Texas working and part owning SWF Fury, which I don't believe is in business anymore.
Yeah.
Hey Poyo, it's what you do. She's a gimmick generating machine. Yeah, it's time to book. Let Poyo book. Let's just make a hashtag. Let Poyo book. And it's a no on Lacey. Okay, I'll leave you to expand or not on that one. Sometimes that's just things are best, said plainly. Anyway, we go to the main event of USA, which, guys, is Colby Carino versus Gary Morton for the NWA World Junior title. This was something I thought really could have been built to a bit more than it has been. I mean, we all kind of knew these two would collide, but it seemed like right out of the gate, kind of early, but anyway, Homicide's out at ringside, and he's here to basically disrupt shit, and he claims he has a manager's license from what I could tell on TV and no one could see. So Colby's aggressive right from the get-go. He and Kerry are exchanging counters and holds. There's a cool top rope move, like a top turnbuckle move, I should say, to the spinal column pretty early on, and a really pretty neat super kick. Kerry kicks out of the Colby Crush, that spinning standing senton thing that he does. These guys really gel very well together in the ring. And I don't know how well they know each other, but I know just from something Kerry said a couple months ago, they have been, they've known of each other, and they've known each other in some capacity since they were kids.
Yeah.
So maybe we shouldn't be surprised that they gel so well. There's a great backbreaker and suplex back-to-back combo by Colby. They trade shots on purpose. This was a nice spin on the regular guys throwing shots back and forth, which gets a bit redundant. This was sort of a, like, do it, give me your best shot, and then they're doing that back and forth, and that little bit kind of made it better for me. Like, I'm tougher than you. They go outside the ring, and on the way back in, Colby's caught in a draping DDT before the kiss it goodbye knee strike and the pin. So Kerry goes over on this thing. Dave, you were there. You lived through this match. What were your thoughts?
Everyone, both wrestlers plus Homicide on the outside as I don't know what he was, an observer. I guess I do remember him saying that he had taken his medicine when he came down the stairs. So I'm not sure if people heard that he was calm and he was just going to observe. But overall, I mean, it's good. They know each other well. I just see this is a very long-term storyline that Colby needs to get that belt down the line, whether it's from Kerry or if Homicide gets it back. I don't know. I'm hoping they don't do a three-way for the belt.
Yeah, I don't.
But there's several other wrestlers that they can put in that position. The NWA just needs to remember what storylines they're telling and continue those storylines.
Yeah.
Jay Spade, back in April, won a chance to go after the belt before there was even a champion. Jay Spade is from New Orleans. That should have been brought up, and down the line, he could be brought in as a contender. He won a chance to go after the belt.
Yeah.
He's Wildcat tag champ, but who says he can't have another belt outside of Wildcat?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know you were there for the tapings, and you and Jay and DK have done the community a service by being tight-lipped, and I know that we haven't asked, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of this stuff that we haven't for the weeks that have rolled out, and that's cool. But so I say this not having any of that knowledge. I do hope that Jay Spade is involved in this in the near future. I think that would really help. Jeremy, you and I watched it from our respective couches, 3,000 miles away from each other, I imagine. What did you think of Morton versus Carino, World Junior?
As much as I and we want to see these two pair up as a tag team, I hope it's down the road a ways, and I could watch these two wrestle all USA, all power, every pay-per-view. I'm good with that. This was by far the match of the show for me, by a long shot.
Yeah.
It just, yeah, really good.
I'll scroll back up in a second. Dodie says, Kerry Morton won't be in Mexico. He mentioned this on social media due to a scheduling conflict. Kerry does some, I believe it's professional cheerleading with a team that he has a commitment with, and I think everyone respects that. And if they want to drop the title for him, I hope Billy books a reasonable story for him and his challenger. Yeah, or maybe there just isn't a match around that at that March event. which again, I mean, if you're there for a rock festival, I love the rock and wrestling connection, but how much wrestling will there be? Maybe there might only be 3 to 5 matches that day, right? So I guess we'll see how it goes back as we get closer to it. I just want to scroll up for a second. Media saying I don't think Lacey will come back to wrestling, and if she was to return, have them separate the feud, and that's like so. Willie likes the idea of Lacey, Von Erich, and Poyo had said, like, I think separating them a little from the Freebirds is a good idea. There were some unflattering reports from SWE. So I mean, that's great. So you always got to look at all kinds of names, and Willie has some good ones in Ruby Rays and Heidi Katrina and Viperous for the NWA as well. So hopefully they continue to grow, continue to expand, and head in the right direction. Collegiate. Jay's talking about the cheerleading. So that's basically as pro as you get, almost. I think, though, right? Like those guys are good. Yeah, I guess he's still in college, so that's amazing. I believe PJ Hawks is as well. So there you go. That was NWA USA, and that was certainly, I agree with you guys, the match of the night. We kind of took a different turn this time around with Power to try to give the OG Alliance guys their entire focus back on Power for tomorrow night, but also just because our shows tend to run a bit long for us. So for us on this side of the camera anyway, and so we figured we would touch on what happened on NWA Power with some highlights. So I'm going to run down the show in the segments, and then I'm going to flip it to these two guys to give some highlights. Please join us in the chat with your own highlights. So it started with blunt force trauma, utterly destroying 2 Wildcat guys whose names were David Powers and Eddie Vero. It made me think of Jim Powers and how unsuccessful that last name has been in pro wrestling. But anyway.
My dad's name is David Powers.
You're kidding.
No.
Wow.
He's not that guy, though.
He's not that guy. My dad's
not that guy. No relation. No relation.
Yeah. Carnage and Damage beat up my dad in an open contest. So they go over really strong over these two. And it's just a beatdown. It's what exactly I think it should have been. Samantha Starr took on Kylan King in this match that saw Kylan go over I like to say re-debuting because it's been a little while. Samantha Starr, she was very serviceable and she did an okay job in this match. May had a segment with Mercurio and Mims. The Spectaculars with Rolando Freeman and took on Matt Cardona and Mike Knox in the main event. Now, there was a stipulation here that if the Spectaculars win, that Rolando gets a shot immediately afterwards at Matt Cardona, and if he wins that, he gets any future title shot that is owed to Matt Cardona instead of Cardona. But if the Cardona family win, then the two of them get 5 minutes alone with Rolando Freeman to do whatever they want to him. Yeah. 7 minutes in heaven. Which somebody made that joke. I don't remember who it was during the show, but look. So what happened in this main event? I'm going to leave till tomorrow night. I can hear DKM from here, just grinding his teeth. But it was basically a fairly one-sided match that saw the Cardonas beat up the Spectaculars and then get disqualified when Matt Cardona shoved Jared Fritz. And So now it was immediately Rolando Freeman versus Matt Cardona for Cardona's world title shot. Matt Cardona is the guy that we were expecting, that we were told to be the third guy in that match that saw Tyrus defeat Trevor Murdoch for the World's Championship. We are to buy him as a former NWA World's Champion that has never been beaten for the title. He is top tier in his presentation. And hey, listen, I promised I would leave this for the guys tomorrow night. But he got his ass handed to him, guys, by Rolando Freeman in a way that was I'm sure he was the guy who laid this match out. I don't want to say someone screwing with Matt Cardona because I almost know for a fact that he did this himself. But it was so one-sided. It was ridiculous. Was the first time I thought maybe I'll just fast forward through an NWA show. I didn't dig it. In the end, Cardona pinned Rolando after a nut shot when Fritz was distracted, and the what does he call the move? The radio silence.
Yeah.
Poyo thought it was fairly entertaining. I'm glad that there are some people who enjoy it. I was not one of them, but I take all comments to the contrary. That was power. Highlight of the night for you, Dave. What was it?
Let's see here. I did enjoy Blunt Force Trauma. Them just beating up, just going wild. They're a good team that can go after belts, but they don't need belts. They're just smashing trash.
Right.
I like that, and I didn't like the match, but I liked that Cardona is possibly getting away from dealing with Rolando.
Yeah.
That either way, whether he won or lost, he'd end up in the ring again with Rolando.
Yeah.
So him being disqualified saves him from getting a pin. You guys won, but you never pinned me. Then he goes in, he's getting his heat back, and he's getting his shine back.
Yep.
Right.
I didn't overall like the match. I think it could have been done a better way, but I see what they were trying to do. And I'm just hoping that now the Spectaculars can be out of the storyline with the Cardonas and can start building up some wins to go after the Fixers.
Right. Yeah, and they need some work. The Spectaculars do. It just takes time, and there's some guys who need to spend some time together in the ring. I don't know. Jeremy, your highlight of the night for this one.
That's a tough one. I like seeing Blunt Force Trauma. I'm with Dave on that. I love a good smash mouth, just steamroller tag team. I like the fact that the Spectaculars got a pseudo quasi win. That was nice to see finally. I didn't expect them to go on such a drought of losing streak. Not that we've seen a whole lot of them, but I expected them to at least to get a win before now, even if the win has an asterisk with it, came with a disqualification.
Yeah,
that's about what I got out of it.
I thought about making a segment called Dumpster Fire of the Week, but I don't want to be negative. I just, when it really calls for it, we'll drag it out and say, hey, here it is. I don't know that this qualified because, look, there is something to Rolando. I've said that before. There's a
Yeah.
space for him in the NWA. I think it's being the manager who interferes. You know, it's being that guy who can. He's bold. He's brash. He never backs down. It's the size of the fight in the dog. I just don't think that place is against the guy that they're going to put up as a potential, once again, you know, a past and future potentially world's champion. And every time I see him, I feel like if they had ever booked a match between him and Trevor Murdoch, that it would have been over in 2 moves. Like that's how you would have booked that. You know, so it was just, media said just now he can be a downtown Bruno. Yes, he could.
Yep.
Yes, he could. Harvey Whitman. Yeah, there's a spot for him, guys. It's just, please stop this now. To Dave's point, like I hope that this is the end of that engagement. All right. Hey, look, we're cruising through. It's almost an hour. Although we started 5 minutes earlier, so it's like 45 minutes. And we're going to go now to our roving reporter, Jeremy, with the UWN Championship Wrestling from Hollywood and Memphis Wrestling results for the week.
Yes, and we start off with Memphis Wrestling. This is part 2 of the Memphis Trios tournament. We start off with the trio tournament match between Dysfunction with Brandon Espinoza, DNA, and Kyle Roberts versus Memphis Muscle, the Gun Show Brett Michaels, Big Swole Justin Cole, and the Master of Fat Jitsu K Toomer. Big Swole started out the match and maintained control for a minute before Dysfunction started isolating him for a majority of the match. Good amount of tags in and out, keeping a fresh man on Swole. He's finally able to get the hot tag to Toomer, who clears house. Then Michaels makes a blind tag and hits DNA with the Gun Show Lariat for the win. That was a good match. I enjoyed the fresh tags in and out with Dysfunction. They've got a good chemistry between the three of them going on. We then go to the Memphis Women's Championship title unification match. This is between Dirty Diana Taylor, who has the prior Memphis Women's title, and Cassandra Golden, who is the current and recognized Memphis Women's title holder.
Mm-hmm.
While Golden is recognized as the champ, DDT has been walking around with a knockoff, causing the committee to issue this match. The odds were stacked against Golden, and they only got worse as the match went on. Blaylock used his cane, his bodyguards, a closed fist to Golden's face, and even the former women's title. That move, however, started the decline. Jimmy holds Golden while DDT lines up to hit her with the belt, but Golden ducks out of the way right before hitting Blaylock and giving Golden the opening she needed. Golden gets DDT up and hits a sit-out power bomb for the win to retain and still Memphis Women's Championship. That was another good match as well. Cassandra Golden's pretty new to Memphis overall, but she's a definite championship material and carries the belt well. We then go to Remarkable Ryan Rembrandt and his dinner tips. He started talking about what should be eaten and not be eaten and during the holidays, and I stopped listening because it's the holidays. Then we go to Ryan Rembrandt versus Kid Wrestling. Kid Wrestling has some new gear. A lot of good fundamental back and forth between these two. Kid Wrestling has been away for a while, and the ring rust caught up with him as Rembrandt gets the three in that. We then go to our main event, the Memphis Internet Championship match between Problem Child Aaron Roberts with Justin Case and the Internet Champion Zay Washington. These two are former tag partners, and they waste no time attacking as soon as the bell rings. This match was intense and hard hitting, with neither one giving any sign of yielding to the punishment being dished out. Roberts comes up with a chain, but it's quickly seen. While the ref is throwing the chain out just in case, tosses Roberts a can of spray paint, which he uses to hit Zay across the back of the head. The ref sees this as well and calls for the bell. After the match, Roberts defaces the belt with spray paint and proceeds to attack a down Zay Washington, ending with a big splash onto a chair-covered Zay Washington. He was then stretchered out of the arena, out of the Wrestle Center. So looking forward to updates, see how he's doing next week. We then go to Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, and we start out with Jordan Clearwater and Invictus Cash. Clearwater's pissed off about wasting his time with Ray Jazz and Mike Goga. Clearwater calls out Jazz for a one-on-one against Invictus Cash, and we jump straight to that. Jazz gave Invictus his first defeat in the UWN and continued to be a thorn in the side of the embassy. Both men are accomplished amateur wrestlers, and those skills are on display in the early minutes of the match. Cash gains the upper hand after Jazz is sent shoulder first into the ring post. After some back and forth and a brief comeback for Jazz, Clearwater snatches Mike Goga up, allowing Cash to set up the Fujiwara armbar for a tap-out victory.
Wow.
We got Johnny LaQuasto with Zicky Dice. Zicky Dice is juicy. The people have said so.
We got heat. Yeah, go ahead.
Outlandish. Zicky has held the United Wrestling Network Heritage Championship for 600 million days or so.
That's a record.
That's a record and then some, buddy. Let me tell you. No one's going to take it from him. And then out of nowhere, BSK kind of pops up like the whoopsie from the old Mortal Kombat and taps on the belt and says, "Mine," and then ducks back out of the scene again.
Wow.
Are you ready for this next segment?
I am.
If you're listening with earbuds, I tell you need to turn yourself down. You need to turn them down for a second, because we have Johnny LaQuasto with Beef Candy. Beef Candy want a clean rematch. Johnny tells them in a couple of weeks they'll face TMDK. If Beef Candy can beat TMDK, Beef Candy will get another shot at the tag titles. Beef Candy. God, I love those guys.
What's that? Team DKM? What was that? I didn't.
TMDK, the Mighty Don't Kneel.
Right.
Shane Haste, the Wolf Zaddies are part of it. There's another one in my mind's going blank on the fourth one.
It's a great name, the Mighty Don't Kneel.
Yeah, love that. We then go to Milo versus Vipress, who we were talking about earlier, who'd be a great addition to the NWA, and I have to agree with that. The long-awaited women's title is coming, as stated by the commentary team. Milo continues to improve and impress, with this match being no different. Milo pushed Vipress to her limits in this outing. Unfortunately, Vipress is able to lock in her Sidewinder submission hold, and Milo immediately tapped out. As soon as she got it in, she was tapping. That one was over. We then go to United Television Championship match between Dom Kubrick and our champion Jordan Cruz. Kubrick didn't allow Adnan to finish his introductions before attacking Cruz. As I noted last week, since Halston Body betrayed Kubrick, he's found a new viciousness that had yet to be discovered. He had in many ways reached a stagnant place, and maybe Halston had seen that. Regardless, it has led Dom to a TV title shot in a short amount of time. The moves come fast and hard, with both men having no concern for the other or themselves. After trading some running forearms, Kubrick goes for a springboard, but is countered, and Cruz hoists him up and nails the Titan driver in the middle for the 3. This was my match of the show and of the weekend. Just a phenomenal match. I highly recommend it. At the end, Jack Banning comes out and congratulates Cruz, and also to remind him that he's still waiting for his shot as well. We then go to El Primo Henio Tribeca versus Lord Crew with Halston Body. Last week, El Primo Henio was challenged by Halston Body for a rematch because El Primo Henio was Lord Crew's first loss in the UWN. But if El Primo Henio wins, he wants Halston Body as his manager. As soon as the bell rings, Lord Crew lands a big boot and then traps El Primo Henio in the corner with a barrage of hits and kicks. After some back and forth, Crew hits his Earth Shatter, only to break the count himself. He then hits another, only to roll out and allow El Primo Henio the count-out victory. This could end up being one of those situations of be careful what you wish for. We then get Jack Farmer with Danny Limelight. Danny has went up against the best wrestlers over the past few months, and tonight he goes up against Alan Angels, and when he's through with him, Danny and the Bodega are coming for the UWN World Championship in Jordan Clearwater. That jumps straight into the main event with Danny Limelight and Alan Angels. Angels is coming off a lengthy run in AEW as part of the Dark Order and is looking to forge his path with Violent by Design and Impact Wrestling. Now, outside of those two promotions, coming to the UWN and facing Danny Limelight was a big mistake. While Angels is impressive and able to get the upper hand a couple of times, this is Danny Limelight's house, and regardless of what Angels throws at him, Danny keeps coming back. Angels hits a suplex and goes for a running knee, but Limelight rolls under and wraps up Angels with the Maurice Anyando, is what he calls that, rear naked choke for the submission win. Watch the UWN.
Yeah. Hey, listen, let's go through some of these comments. The Mighty Don't Kneel, Jay says. Jonah, Mikey, Shane, and Tito.
Yes.
And I love Shane Haste. Is what Jay throws in there.
Yeah.
Big
Shane Haste fan here, too.
DDT from Willie said, belong in the dumpster. Cassandra Golden is a pure gem. Okay. Yeah. Dodie says, man, Brandon Espinosa, who to me was Espy, and I haven't seen too much of recently. Anyway, I always wanted to see him wrestle for the NWA long before Bruce Starr ever took over the NWA.
He's good, man. I really enjoy. He's got a great mind for the business, and he's got his gimmick that he's got going on in Memphis fully fleshed out. Him, DNA, and my mind went blank on his name, but Kyle Roberts.
Okay,
they're, like I said, they're solid, and they've only been together for a short amount of time in Memphis. So watch
UWN, to your point, and follow them at the. I separated them out a little more so everyone could see.
Yes, follow them.
United Wrestling is the whole shebang. I'll say this because a UWN insider, a real insider in the UWN, told me just a couple of days ago that there are going to be some actual belt changes, some physical changes to the titles. So we'll be seeing new designs in the coming year.
And Dave's got a great eye for making pretty belts.
He does that. I love that thing up there. That UWN world title. Oh, that's a salty mistress, my friends.
Ain't she though? Ain't she
She's so
though?
pretty. Can't
Oh,
keep
it's so
away.
pretty.
Uh, yeah, man. UWN is awesome. Thank you so much for that. Okay, you ready for this? Where is this thing or the brand? As we go into Dave, where is this thing here?
Hey, Luthez.
All right, as we're gonna go into the fantasy poker, check out what Dave's got from Jeremy. Here we go. It's a Christmas present. Our own fantasy booker, Dave Scooby, in the house. Dave is talking to us about how to book Tyrus as the world's heavyweight champion. Now that he's the boss, how do we do it, Dave?
First off, there needs to be a defense at least once a month, at least. Whether it be at the tapings, whether it be at the live events. Don't always save title defenses for the pay-per-views or the bigger events.
Yeah, I agree.
Expect the unexpected. Do it. Have him come out, somebody spouting off about, oh, I'll take on anybody, blah, 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 blah. I want a chance at any belt.
Right.
Step up or step out. I have him listed as being in action after the tapings. So I believe it's December 8th.
Right.
He's going to be in a tag match with Alex Riley, A-Rye.
Right.
They're on, they usually do the Three Wise Men podcast. I'm not sure if he's going to show up in the NWA and take over for where Marche Rocket, who just decided to up and exit stage left from Idle Sports Management and the church's money. Who knows? If A-Rye can still go, I welcome him in the NWA. But best friends can make better enemies.
Mm-hmm.
A-Rye, I was looking. He has some size to him. I didn't realize how big he was. Friends can become enemies, so we'll see where that goes down the line. But first off, Trevor has a rematch clause.
He does.
They've had two matches.
I just wanted to show you this because this is timely. Doty says, book Tyrus against another big guy. He looks decent in big guy versus big guy matches. So, yeah, good point. Carry on with Trevor.
Well, Trevor has a rematch. You can do the rubber match. If he gets a win over Trevor, that builds him up as champion. I'm hoping that they don't go the easy route and have interference with G's. That Tyrus actually stands up and goes, I'm the champion. I'm going to do this by myself. You guys can stand behind me, but do not interfere in my match.
Right.
Yeah.
But besides Trevor, there's several guys that he can wrestle, and like they were saying, big guy. The way Billy has been saying, oh, it's just going to be big guys against big guys. Well, you have several guys that can go against Tyrus, lose, and it won't hurt them as much. I mean, you have Jax Dane, who is currently doing the Crimweather storyline. Why not? He's a former champion. It builds up Tyrus if he gets wins over former champions or just decent wrestlers.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for a 20-minute match.
No.
Give me a minute coming in, 7 to 8 minutes of good in-ring action, and whether it be by hook or crook, I'd rather Tyrus do the right thing and win the right way. I mean, you have Jax Dane, I mean, we haven't seen Chris Adonis. He has some size to him. He's not a big guy, but he can muscle up and make Tyrus look good.
Yeah.
I mean, even Knox.
Yeah.
Knox can go for a bigger guy.
Right.
I mean, eventually Cardona is going to come back and go, I never lost. I want my belt back. Now, if he comes back,
I already got him saying, like, I didn't get my rematch when you're watching the TV stuff. That didn't count, basically.
yep.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not sure how long they'll have Tyrus hold the belt, but I have actually, I mean, I don't watch Gutfeld, but I've flipped it on the last couple of days just to see if Tyrus is there, and he's there showing his belt to the world. If we can get a percentage of the eyeballs that Fox News gets, even if they're watching on YouTube, the algorithm, it'll up the algorithm of more people watching.
That's right.
I'm not sure how long Billy is going to have him hold the belt, but ideally, if Cardona is going to go after his belt and they have Always Ready 2, again, that's when he gave up the belt. That's his own pay-per-view. That would be the opportune time for him to get it back.
Yeah.
Tyrus would have had it 6 to 7 months, depending on when he defends the belts.
Right.
But if once every 4 to 5 weeks, have him defend it, whether it be on, I mean, the live power that's coming up, I'd say have him defend it against somebody.
Right. And I think there's a number of bigger guys even that, you know, that could go down before him and help make him look good.
Oh, yeah. And Jeremy, who from the UWN, who's from Championship Wrestling from Hollywood that could basically get in a ring and make him look really good and not be small about it.
Papo Esco would be a great matchup for him, as a lot of people have said in the chat. Another one would be the Talos guy that they brought in with the embassy. He's another big guy.
Oh, that 7-foot guy.
Yeah. Bateman would be a good matchup. Lord Crew would be a good matchup.
I mean, basically anybody over, I'd say 6'2" or 6'3", with their boots on, that can actually work.
Yeah.
That can make a match good.
Yeah.
They don't have to come out as a victor, and if they do win by disqualification, he still keeps the belt.
Yep.
That I would actually like the first couple matches be with NWA talent and have G's try to interfere and then stop the match and Tyrus do the right thing. G's, thanks, but no thanks. Go to the back now.
Yep.
That if he ends up doing that, he actually shows that he has respect for the title and being the champion. That it's not, oh, I'm the champion now, that he won that 3-way. Granted, I don't like 3-way matches, but he won.
Yep.
Him and Trevor are 1-1. They have that rubber match, and down the line, I'd like to see that come about. And knowing what Trevor is like, granted, both those guys are great, bigger wrestlers, but they're giving Tyrus the shine. He's almost 50 years old. They need to build up the future within the next year. But in doing that, they need to also keep the title relevant and feature some of these either former champions or up and comers that can take the belt and highlight it if needed.
Yeah, I really think you get the champion making them look better and then making the champion look good. Let me know if my microphone isn't up to snuff right now. Lou says he can't hear me very well, but for you mentioned some of the names, Dave, like Jack Stain. We got three guys right here. Would love to see Papa Esco, King Fat Boy come in. He's been on social media saying I'd love to come to the NW.
I'd love
Yeah.
to come to the NWA.
Would you book, therefore, and when you're saying he's sending G's to the back, and I love it, would you book Tyrus as a face, a baby face then, or like a tweener almost?
Almost a tweener.
Yeah.
He can be a quote unquote bad guy when needed, but I'd like to just see him defend the belt with honor.
Yeah.
Right.
That I'm champion along with a laundry list and have him start naming off people.
In the same way Nick Aldis came out when Trevor won and said, I did all this stuff to you and you still took the title. It's your time. Go and shine. You could even have Murdoch come out and go, you won this thing. I'll come back for my title when I'm good and rested. But you need to defend this with the honor that Dave's talking about right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep.
Let me go to some of the chat stuff because it's been pretty active for you here, Dave. Again, Fat Boy, King Fat Boy, Papa Esco. We would love to see that. Jay and I are starting to call for. We want Tyrus to tour, and if we can get him up north to go against the former NWA North American and British Commonwealth champion Drew Onyx, who's another big boy at about 350. That'd be a good one. Doty points out what you were saying earlier. Like, we want a world's champion defending his title anytime, anywhere, every time.
Yeah.
And that speaks to what you're saying. Hey, Carlton's here. Welcome, Carlton.
Hey, Carlton.
And Lou as well. Media had said, bigger guys can go with Tyrus, but the question is, can Tyrus go with the bigger guys? Tyrus will have a big man match. They'll have to go at Tyrus's pace. And I think to what Dave's saying is if they can make him look good. I think Tyrus can also do things to keep himself looking sharp in these matches. Like, please don't go to the second rope anymore. Like, it's just not necessary. Anyway, so Doty says Tyrus versus Kratos. Yeah, I would even say earlier on, like Tyrus with some matches against guys like Crimweather or Kratos, just to make him stronger and look good and get some work under his belt, so to speak. Willie wants us to know that he can hold the 10 pounds of gold as long as three is a full buffet table. He's near. Okay. All right. We get it. Some people who can come in, according to Billy, Blake, Bulletproof Troop, Watts, Big Swole, and Brett Michaels. Oh, the gun show.
Yep.
Tyrus shot for the 10 pounds of gold. Dak Draper, Jordan Clearwater, Tom Latimer, The Future. That's a Drew Onyx thing. We apologize. The Bahan Bomber, yeah. Drew is awesome. Drew and Jay are the two reasons that I do NWA Gold. So I am unapologetic Drew Onyx fan. Doty says, if Billy really loves big guys, bring in Papa Esco, Attila Khan, who Trevor had a defense in St. Louis against when he was champ. Rob Kowalski, Cyrus the Destroyer, Silas Young, Beer City Bruiser. Wow, never heard from him in a while. Jack Parker Jr. and bring back James Storm. Where is James Storm? He's like a million-time champion in Impact for tag teams, right?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I
Yeah.
like that Silas Young. I like the Silas Young
Yeah.
suggestion as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Is Drew Onyx still wrestling these days? Yes, he is. He has a promotion based out of Montreal, where he lives. He is contending for the title, the British Commonwealth title, which is still the same physical belt, but an independent title right now. He is Jay's going to put him on the podcast. That is excellent. I really look forward to it. He can talk his ass off too, guys. He's huge. He's good. He trains. The future wrestlers of tomorrow. That's his day job. Great guy, and I would love to see those two clash. Storm is doing real estate. That's right. I'd forgotten that. He is. He's a real estate guy now. But he is sorely missed. That is some good booking, Dave, and I thank you for it very, very much. And guess what?
One last thing, if I could.
Please.
I believe that they do like interviews and they do take phone calls on the Gutfield show. Set it up as an angle. Have his first defense be one of his opponents or somebody calling in, hey, the belt looks great on TV, but it'd look even better around my waist.
Are you listening, Billy?
Thanks for showing the world my belt. And it could be, first off, I'd do Jack Stain.
Yeah.
Right.
Because he can make anybody look good. And you want somebody that's big enough that can work big man style, and they can just clobber on each other. It doesn't have to be scientific wrestling.
Yeah.
It can be a few wrestling moves, but just it's clobbering time. Just go Incredible Hulk on each other and just beat the hell out of each other for 5-6 minutes and just make it happen. But I'd have whoever your first challenger is call in, congratulate, and then challenge on TV. That way you could actually see what pop you get from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man.
They give 30 seconds time to Tyrus on a phone call of a challenge, have it at the very end of the show. Hey, thanks, guys. Oh, wait, we got one more phone call. It's for NWA champion Tyrus. What do you have to say to the champ? I'm coming after you. This is so-and-so, blah. And they go off the air.
Yeah.
He doesn't say yes, but he doesn't say no. Yeah. He's like, let me think about it.
Right. That'd be awesome.
And it's a storyline that you could gauge by what response you get on Twitter on both sides, the wrestling side and the TV show side.
Right. Great idea. Attila Khan's a Harley guy. He's close with Murdoch. Yeah. They used to. They spent a lot of time together. So that was a fun defense. The bodyguard, Willie says, from All Japan Pro Wrestling could give Tyrus a good match. I don't know him. Doty's talked about him before, as he is here. He won't give you a good match. I think he means we'll give you a great match. But we love the bodyguard. Okay, I'll have to look into him then. Some great suggestions. And you know what, man? That's just about it. We're going to finish it in under 90 minutes. This is incredible.
Wow.
Just mark this day in your calendars. And that's awesome. I want to pitch something I didn't do at the top of the show. I am, for my stuff, the belt stuff, at NWA Gold on Twitter. I'm at NWA Gold _ currently. I am rebranding. I am taking the NWA out of my name, because two people asked me today from right off the bat, no, the NWA is not making me do it. But at some point, you have to, if you're moving forward, you have to take someone else's brand out of what you're doing. I'm still all NWA titles. I am still all, all NWA belts. I'm all NWA, period. I'm just taking the name out. So I'm having a contest where if you go to my Twitter and it's pinned there at the top, just retweet with your name suggestion for what NWA Gold should become name-wise. And you can win this thing right here, guys. This is the biggest giveaway I've had so far. This is the 10 pounds of gold. This is a premier version, technically a bootleg from before the Fandu era. The first belt I ever bought, actually. I bought it a few years ago. It's in really good shape. And it's yours. Media recently got his Bret Hart hockey puck in the mail. He's going to send us a photo. We'll put that up on social media. But we're giving it away if your name is chosen, and I will give you this belt. I will mail it to you at my expense. So. I think that's only on Twitter. I was going to put it on other social medias, but it's just too difficult to manage more than one at the same time. The response has been tremendous so far. I really appreciate it. There's been all kinds of activity around it, and I'm really looking forward and really liking some of the suggestions right now. Here's Dodie asking, "Will you send it to Indonesia if I win it?" Yes, I will. I will commit to sending it to Indonesia, Dodie, if I choose your name. And you guys can pick as many names as you want and retweet it as often as you choose with those names. That's it. That's the contest. It goes until December 28th. And then I'm gonna think about it for a while. And then on this show in the week following in the new year, which is probably the 7th or something like that, I will announce the winner. That's my pitch. Dave, where can they find you online and on the social media sites?
They can find me at Dave Scooby on Twitter and on Instagram. And if you have, like I've said before, if you have any suggestions for fantasy booking, either of the current NWA or of past NWA storylines that we can look at that can possibly be redone, just hit me up, either direct message me or just hit me up on Twitter, and we'll see what we can do.
Awesome. Jeremy, you're only on Twitter. I have to get you somewhere. I know you're on YouTube now. That's good.
Yes.
Tell us about what you're doing there.
I am going to start up reviewing MLW on there, and I am working on some interviews possibly.
That's great.
In the coming weeks, stay tuned, and I will give more information as things develop.
Very good. Glad to hear. Very active on Twitter. Jeremy is as well. The address there.
Yes, HJWOTS.
Yep. You can find me, as I mentioned, at NWA Gold _ on Twitter. Facebook's where I have all of my stuff listed right now. There's about 75 belt bios or snippets or whatever they're on at the top. There's more coming. That's it for us, I think. Did I miss anything? I did. We have to, tomorrow night, the original Alliance Guys team at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, the Alliance Guys podcast with J. Cal, with DKM, and Jaden. And of course, on Tuesdays, the flagship show that Jay does solo. It's 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific, the hour before Power, the pre-party with J. Cal, with NWJ. So please watch those. Please tune in tomorrow night. That's where you'll get all of the, the guys who've been doing this for 15 years This is our 22nd show. They have been doing it basically whatever 52 times 15 is. So that's a lot.
That's a whole lot.
Thank you all for being here. We really appreciate it. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.